Welcome to the Growth Stories podcast. I'm your host, Josh Jackson. This show is all about growth always in all ways, not just leads or revenue, but the systems, positioning, and conversations that actually move businesses forward. We work with founders and leadership teams to turn authority into pipeline, content into trust, and strategy into real execution without noise or wasted effort. Every episode is real conversations with people who are actually building, fixing, or scaling something that matters. Today's guest is someone that helps companies grow from the inside out. Josh Rosenberg is an executive coach and founder of Forward Thinkers. He works with private equity firms, CEOs, leadership teams to align people, culture, strategy, and brand so companies can scale clarity and consistency. Josh is often brought in when a company looks strong on paper but struggles to grow from 10 million to 20 and beyond. He focuses on real drivers of growth, people, leadership, process, and technology, and how a company's internal culture must match the brand it's trying to show the world for growth to actually scale. Josh, welcome to the podcast today.
Yeah, Josh, thanks for having me. I
Yeah,
love the
so
opening. I'll tell you, I'm gonna have to steal that, by the way. Just so
hey, no
everybody knows,
problem.
I'm stealing that tag. That entire description is now mine. Yeah, it was great, man.
Hey, I'm open to going where you are and doing your intro everywhere, okay?
All right, I'm in.
So you work with a lot of mid-sized companies and enterprise companies. What's the biggest mistake you see when it comes to brand awareness?
That people believe they don't have to invest in their brand, or that their brand's not a living, breathing part of your capital. Like see it all the time where we underinvest. We look at marketing as a spend. I had a client the other day throw a number out at me, a $40 million company, threw out a $9,000 marketing spend and said it was a waste of money. And that blind spot can be detrimental in today's marketplace because whether we're consuming for home or buying B2B, direct to consumer or B2B, the consumer or buyer is now in control. And they're in
Mm-hmm.
control because of digitalization.
Mm-hmm.
Your brand is out there. Your brand is positioned, whether you participate in that or you don't. And that's a blind spot that I think a lot of organizations don't recognize. That their online presence is building trust, credibility, and opportunity. And if you don't invest in or at least maintain it and have a consistent position, you're weakening yourself. You're putting yourself at risk for competition, for someone else to define who you are and what you are,
Mm-hmm.
and limiting your upside potential.
Yeah. So, it leads me to why. Like, what's the why? Why do companies invest in marketing before they've clearly defined who they are and what they want to be perceived by?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't suggest you invest in marketing before you know who you are.
That's what I'm saying. Why do
That's
they
a
do it?
basis. Yeah.
Why do
Yeah.
so many companies do that?
Well, because marketers sell it. Well, so the opposite side is I look at it and I say the spend isn't going to return an ROI. I don't need it. That's a sunken cost. On the flip side, it's I've got to position my brand. I got to bring somebody in and I've got to go grow my business. People want to always, we're all focused on growth, right? And impression. But a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves where are we structurally sound? Do we know our purpose, our product, our mission? Are people aligned on it? Are we able to execute it? You've got to have that before you go out and invest in the marketing side. And that's part of what we do. Brands come to us. We're a digital marketing agency that happens to have an executive coach and former business owner that has this experience in me. But we look at it and say, we don't want to take your money for marketing because we're going to fail. We can't get you there on lead gen. We can't get your brand to that point unless we start with the starting blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And those foundational blocks of who we are, what we do, and how we position that to the marketplace as a value proposition, a differentiator,
Mm-hmm.
is critical before you start spending on the marketing side. So it's brand building, brand clarity. Make sure that's all the way through your organization. It's aligned and your mission and controlled. And then it's external engagement. And those two are very important that you don't do them backwards. And a lot of people just jump in because we're all seeing these tools. You've got lead generation tools. I bet if I open up my LinkedIn and showed you right now, I have over 50 requests or in-mails saying I can bring you leads. And that's a trap, right? That
Yeah.
is a trap.
Yeah.
So we got to be very careful about how people position our brands in the market. And in order to do that, we have to control our brand and understand what it is. It's one of our most precious pieces of capital. People, human capital, and brand capital are number one and 1A for me, because
Yeah.
that's what makes you work and and helps your success.
Yeah. So let's dive into that a little bit more. So what happens to growth when a company's internal culture doesn't match the brand that they're trying to show the world?
Friction, conflict. I live in a world where my job is to remove friction. Your brand's not aligned. Let me remove that friction. Your growth target's not aligned. We always hear operation and sales is what? Oil and water. We have an expertise where we come in and we remove that. It's not oil and water. It's how we communicate and how we understand the other person's shoes.
Hmm.
Walk a mile in their shoes before you ask them to walk in mine. One, making sure, again, is everybody aligned on the brand, the mission, the outcome? Do we have the tools to deliver it? And then do we have are we able to effectively structure the work in order to execute the work with clarity?
Hmm.
And that is often lost in businesses. We assume as leaders or owners, whether it's because of our capacity, because of our belief in people that I'm paying them and I'm telling them, therefore they should do, that they're actually going to be able to go out and decipher what's the most critical priority. How do I align with my peers and teammates? My job as an operator is to do X, but their job is Y. And sometimes that conflicts us from sales to ops or other functional teams. How are we supporting each other? If we understand why finance needs onboarding documents at X stage in the pipeline process and we deliver it consistently, then we're going to improve our customer journey and our customer value. But oftentimes we don't think about it that way. We just put people in a room and say, you're all leaders, you're all hired to do a job. Here's your job description, go execute. And the sad thing is we have automation in today's environment that can streamline that and remove that friction and define it and create continuity. Whether you got new people coming on board, you're growing, scaling, or stable.
So you've seen companies, many companies, you've been a part of many companies from the ground floor up to the boardroom. So how did that shape how you think today about brand?
Well, listen, I started as I'm going to take my Coca-Cola career. I had did a lot of fun things beforehand, but Coca-Cola one, I started as a merchandiser. So, there's no, that's the front line. You're in front of the consumer in the store, you're in front of the buyer in the store, and you're representing the brand and how the brand is valued at the point of purchase. And doing that job, a lot of people in that role would question, why are we being asked to do this?
Hmm.
That's the ultimate friction. Why are we being asked to do this? Then you get to the boardroom, or I got to an executive level at Coca-Cola and realized we are so disconnected on how to execute. And look, Coca-Cola is an incredible brand. I mean, they've doubled their
Right.
market cap in the last 10 years. I mean, I'm a fanatic about Coca-Cola, and I've been gone over 12 years. But it's no different. Typically, it's people get the brand fired, not the brand, because they don't understand the mission. They don't understand execution. And I'll give you a great example. In this, uh, we rolled out a new brand. Brand team comes in and says everybody's got to be executed in 90 days. Did you ever think to do a time study analysis on what that individual that has to execute at the field level, being in being in those shoes, understanding the street, understanding what they go through on a daily basis, what they can accomplish, drive time, windshield time, in store time, what we're already asking them to execute to keep the entire company moving. And now you throw something on top and you put an artificial date on it because it sounds good, or because someone above said, we've got to have this, whether we reported it to the public market or we committed ourselves, or we think it's our business plan. But business plan isn't year to year. It's not fiscal.
Hmm.
Business plan is about continuity of growth. So we get stuck on this year to year planning cycle and we replan and reset. Plans should sit where they are and continuously improve and evolve, and only change when the plan's not working. But in order to make sure you know it's working, you have to understand street to suite. You have to know, what is the board thinking and asking, and do they understand what it's going to take to execute, and are those two things aligned? And
Yeah.
that's what it's taught me. And that's the way I focus on any business I go into. I'm asked a lot of times to come in and do an executive leadership 360s to understand the fate of the company, the measure of the company. and I refused to do it. I asked for a spread across all layers of the organization, individual contributors, managers, leaders, executives. That way I get a sense from all departments, all levels of the organization. Are they really aligned on what I'm being asked to deliver when I come in to evaluate a business? And I can tell you right now, I can only think of one company I walked in where that was clear.
Wow. And what was that company?
Well, I'm not,
If you're
I
at
can't,
liberty to say.
yeah, I can't disclose.
Okay.
It was,
You left this sitting on a cliff.
I
I just
know
wanted to
I did.
know.
I left you on a cliff. Of course you do. I would love to share, but you know what? Listen, I'll put my own business.
Well,
I came into Accent Food Service. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, I mean, don't mean to interrupt you, but let me just expand on that a little bit more.
Hmm.
We talked about people, process, product. You covered a lot of different topics just now. So I'm
People,
curious.
process, technology.
Yeah. So what was the moment in your career where you realized brand wasn't about logos or messaging, but about people, systems, culture?
Mm. Um, I could go back. I worked at Kentucky Kingdom Amusement Park as a teenager. That's experience. That's experience, right? I mean, you're coming to an amusement park. You're
Hmm.
spending a ton of money to be there for the day with your family. And I got into management quickly. It was a local park that owned by a family that was incredible, treated me very well. And they taught me immediately that when these people leave, they're bringing their families here to have an experience, to
Hmm.
leave with a smile. And a lot of things can break down. A ride breaks down that they were just dire to get to, right? They came to ride on that ride and they can't. The food service line is too long, or it's not, the food product isn't good. I mean, anything you think of, they had a bad customer service experience with one of the employees. I just learned really quick that we're all consumers. I've always thought this. I'm a consumer,
Hmm.
but oftentimes we don't think as a consumer when we're in our business environment, as a business owner, business leader. We don't think about how do we want to consume. Would I be okay with that experience? We don't think that way. We got blinders onto it because we're told this is how you're to operate. This is how people do. This is how process executes, and this is how technology enables. But if you don't understand how all of them are working together and how that's delivering on the customer experience that you would expect and measure it yourself, that's why I think the internal customer, the employee, is the most critical thing to your business, 1 or 1A,
Hmm.
because they're all consumers. They're consuming you, they're consuming your brand, they're representing, and they've got a voice and it better be heard.
Yeah. So let's dive a little bit deeper into forward thinkers. Like, what is the problem your company solves, or what's it really built to solve?
Yeah, it's so I started after I sold my company or exited my company back in 19 that, I went to school to be an educator. Didn't do that. Coke pulled me over into the marketing lane, but I've always wanted to really work with businesses, work with individuals, pass on my learnings, pay it forward. Because I wouldn't be where I am. I was a street kid that had an IQ of 12. But people took me in. They took me under their belt. They managed my
Hmm.
blind spots. They carried me through to the next level that I would walk into and not understand. So what forward thinkers started out as is coaching and consulting, whether it was business turnaround, business growth, or owner exit strategy. That's what I started as. And as I started building these playbooks for companies and having success, they started to look at some of my diversity of my career, marketing being one of them, brand being a big one. Coca-Cola brand is most recognizable brand in the world, and started asking for other services. So my wife is incredible customer experience leader. She's been on all sides of it as well. So the idea to extend this into a family business where we could not only come in and coach or consult, but then lead the journey for them.
Hmm.
Because oftentimes I was handing that product off and they were going to hire other agencies. They'd come back to me and say, it didn't work. So I said, you know what? We can do it. So we do tech stack build, automation, particularly around CRM, but total ERP. We do digital marketing, total brand. I got a organization that is design, content and copy, data and science, lead generation. We do uh, blog writing and blog management. We do event planning, event management, so like trade shows for our clients.
Hmm.
And then we even deliver the social media and the engagement. I'm essentially the fractional CMO. And when I
Yeah.
come in, we're not an agency. So what we've built is you get me as the experienced coach or consultant. I'm your CMO or whatever role you want me to play, but I'm at your table. I want your metrics. I want to be measured the same. What are you trying to accomplish? As long as we're aligned that this is how we get there, then we're going to help you deliver it. And we've got all those back end resources we can apply to it. So you get not just a agency, you get an organization out of us when you engage with us. And that's how it's evolved. So it went from this coach consultant to full scope organization that can help in a number of categories from people, process development, technology
Hmm.
enablement, and brand management.
Yeah. So you just mentioned fractional CMO, and I'd love for you to expand on that a little bit more and share with everyone why a fractional CMO, or what the difference is between a fractional CMO is or hiring one executive or an
Yeah,
agency.
that's a great example. One, a couple things about, I'll focus this on brand and marketing. When you're a smaller business, I started the podcast off with someone was concerned about spending $9,000 on marketing. Well,
Hmm.
one, they weren't a marketing subject matter expert, but they knew they needed lead generation. They knew they needed to manage their brand. And then they looked at it and said, but I can't hire that head. Where are you going to put your resources in a small to mid-sized business? Close to the customer, right? Operational, sales
Hmm.
focused, finance focused, HR possibly. HR and marketing then get cut. They get oversight. They get overlooked. So being able to bring someone in fractional that you're sharing that cost with others, but you get the full scope and expertise, particularly with our agency, because again, we got teams that are experts in every element of marketing. A lot of companies parse out their marketing to different agencies. Well, this agency is doing my social media. They're doing my lead gen. They're doing my brand management. They're doing my advertising, and it's disjointed.
Yeah.
So what you get is continuity. You get to act like a big business on a small budget. And the ROI, we continue to prove over and over again that it's there, depending on what the specific customer metric is.
Yeah. So we talked to previously before this podcast, and one question I really wanted you to dive into a bit more on is you talked about fixing companies from the inside out. So what does that
Yeah.
look like in real life?
Well, one, I authored a organizational assessment product around, again, coming in and doing a 360 street to suite. What is your mission? What is your goal? What do you think you're doing? Now let me assess how you're doing against that goal. Like, where are the breakdowns? Where are the points of friction? And that is the most important thing, because every time I'm brought in, I think you and I talked about this, it's usually because my sales is broken. And a lot of times the owner's like, I want to get rid of my sales team and sales leader. They're ineffective. Or another part of the organization is broken, but we're focused on growth today, so I'll stay there. When I get in there, I realize that they don't know how to deliver. There's not clarity or chart of authority on who can approve and who can execute and who can deliver the product and what delivery means. Service level agreements. My business was set up on Salesforce automation tool. I overspent, but it over delivered, where we were a paperless environment. You didn't pick up the phone and call Joe because Joe was in operations and say, handle this for me. And then it was out of sight, out of mind, or lost, because that's work product and work demands you can't see. We ran everything through that automation tool. If we sold a new business, the purchase order for equipment went through it. The timing of survey for operations to handoff went through it.
Hmm.
New business, the key account management handoff went through it. Financial controls, creation of the account, credit, everything that they had to do from a finance perspective, all ran through the system of automation, and it was time bound. I could promise you we could close your deal in 14 days every time, and I had stats against it. But more importantly, I asked my leaders, we had service level agreements. If we have to deliver on time in full X% of the time, and we have to be there within 24 hours, what's our metric? And my leaders would come to me and say, well, I don't have the people. And I say, well, that's your problem. You have the data. What are we doing to move the people or reset the expectation of our customers, internal and external, to what we can deliver? And that's all people want. And at the end of the day, your employees want that. Your customer wants that. So
Hmm.
the ability to be able to say, I'm going to be able to shift resources because I've got the data. I actually know what my people are doing. I know that they're not on priority. They're on tasks. I
Hmm.
got to get them back to priority. All that can be done if you automate effectively. You don't bring in a CRM to be big brother. You bring in a CRM or automation and technology in today's world to advance your business, give better insights so you can get better outcomes. And a lot of business owners don't see it that way. So again, going back to the beginning, I got a sales problem. No, you don't. You got a
Right.
cultural problem. You got an execution problem. We're going to fix that. And we do that with processes, with training, with alignment meetings. And then ultimately, based on their ability to invest, I push them as far as I can towards automation because that gives everybody the same line of sight and you can execute consistently.
Right. As I always say, high tech, high touch. And I don't think AI is going to replace humans. I think it enhances them if they do it correctly. So if we're
Look at
looking,
AI. Yeah. If I may, real quick, look at AI
yeah,
today. If I can just build on that,
yeah,
people are using it as an advanced Google search. We use AI in our business. I'm training next week, part of our downtime. We're training our entire team to do it better. We have a shared environment for every client. So everybody's think tank, I'm seeing it, it's going into our AI engine on what they're thinking on their delivery for the client, whether they're design, whether they're content and copy, whether they're social media or customer delivery. I'm seeing everybody's work in one place. And
hmm,
AI is improving my brain, right? It's uncovering opportunity. It's advancing speed. It's making
yes.
us more efficient and effective. It's not, it's not Google search enhanced on steroids. And we got to get past that. And by the way, you better get past that because if you don't validate that data, you might be putting something out in the marketplace that isn't necessarily factual or the right direction.
Oh, you still have to review everything for sure.
Oh, I see it all the time. We've taken a lot of clients in our marketing business where they've shown us they've turned over all their assets and the documents say at the bottom, generated by ChatGPT. And I can go in and show them that direction wasn't even viable for you. It's
No,
not viable. So
Chat GBT lies to me all the time, and I always call it on it.
I know I sit there and ask it. I mean, I'm a successful, good looking individual, right? It lies to me. It tells me yes.
Yeah, it's a yes man. It's definitely a
It's a
yes
yes
man.
man. It is.
I,
It'll
I,
tell you
I
whatever
even
you want
have
to
to
hear.
say in there, don't don't make up stuff. Don't say it to appease me. Like I even write this in there. Don't appease me. Don't make it
Exactly.
up. Like give me the real answer.
That's the key. The more you put in, that's my point. It's not just, hey, what is the answer to this? This is my thought. It's advancing your thinking. This is my thought. This is what I believe to be accurate. This is where I'm trying to get to. This is the outcome I need, and it'll give it to you.
Yeah.
By the way, it'll even challenge you, which I
Yes.
love. Hey, did you think of this? What about this direction? No, I don't want that direction. That's wrong. I want to stay here, but do it this way, and it'll deliver it. And that's what AI I think is going to bring forward for us, and it'll bring efficiency, speed, and enablement. But to
Yeah.
your point, it may replace some jobs because of efficiencies and gains, but it's also going to create a lot of jobs.
100%. Um, it's like any technology. It's going to eliminate the low level jobs, but it's going to create so many other jobs as well. So you better get on board. You better start learning it. Otherwise, you will get left behind.
Yeah. Or if you're on board, I look at the bell curve of cynic,
Yeah.
skeptic, optimist. Get off of this track.
Yeah.
Try to at least get to the middle and move your way towards optimist. And by the way, that's my life coaching strategy, right? Where
Yeah.
are you in the sense of those three, and how can you move along that continuum by better understanding what's over here? The
Yeah.
truth's always in the middle, right? So we don't have to always believe everything, but the more we can move towards the middle, the more we can progress.
Yeah. So if we're looking ahead at forward thinkers over the next year, what is your main goal? Or if we're sitting down a year from now, what would success look like?
Value creation for our clients. It's my it keeps me up at night. People always ask, what keeps you up at night? What keeps me up at night is, are we staying on top of AI? Are we staying on top of the evolution of brand and the consumer controlled transaction? and delivering viable tools and outcomes and direction to our clients, and that they see us as part of them, not as a separate agency. That's the value we look to create. That's our legacy. Whether we're big, small, and different, I would love to be 10 times the size we are. I really would. I love leading and working with people. It's what I do. It's my lifestyle. But if it's one customer or 10, we've got to deliver on what we said. And
Mhm.
that is what success is going to look like. And I share that, you say, well, that's isn't that anybody's objective? It is, but we're a company that's still growing ourselves. That's the other thing is when I come in, I've built big businesses. I've run $1 billion P&L. I built a business from 30 million to 165 and exited a record exit in our industry
Mhm.
in a very short amount of time. I've done that for others, but we're building forward thinkers every day. Like we didn't wake up with a playbook and say, go be forward thinkers.
Yeah.
We're evolving and we're still learning and we're going to make mistakes and we own them when we do.
Mhm.
And that's costly. That hurts. That stings a little bit because that comes out of my pocket. But I love to fail fast, fail forward. And that's what we challenge our team to do. And they do it great. So a year from now, if we get that value scorecard and we've seen the creation and our customers are performing well, then that's success.
Yeah, I love the fail forward. I mean, I got to study with John C. Maxwell, and he talked about failing
Oh,
forward. And
yeah.
it's not failure if you learn from your mistake and
Mm-mm.
you change and you adapt and you don't make that same mistake. That's failing forward. Like we're all going to fail. That's part of life. So I love that you said that. But I want to know. When you're talking, it made me think. What part of your own brand journey are you most focused on right now?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, our own brand clarity.
Yeah.
We have a branding problem and we're a brand agency, and that's my fault because I started as again, a coach and consultant. Private equity pulled me in before, I left my company. I couldn't retire. COVID changed that. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? And I started getting all these offers to be a CEO again. I wasn't ready to be an operator. So they put me into an operating partner consulting role. Help us fix something, help us grow something, help us evaluate. And that's how this business started. But then again, as I shared earlier, it morphed into, well, can you provide these services for us? So it evolved. So I've got a brand problem. Sometimes people ask, like, nobody wants the brand that or the person that says they can do everything.
Right.
So we're trying to find our specialty. We're trying to find our lane. And it's not that we don't understand our brand. It's we're trying to identify where can we be the most effective in our work,
Hmm.
have the most fun, because you got to have fun doing this, right? And build value for ourselves and for our clients. So we're working that brand problem ourselves. And by the way, it doesn't mean we're not good at it. It means that the marketplace has redefined us. How many times have you seen a product that comes to market for one need, but if the most products that succeed and don't fail recognize that the path took them elsewhere?
Hmm.
They don't get that founder syndrome or those blinders on that says, no, this is our market. We got to win here. They adapt to where the market takes them. That's what we're doing. And it's a challenge. It really is. It's a challenge to be able to sell it. It's a challenge to be able to sustain it and build competency around it.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times when it comes to marketing that you're like, I don't know if it's gonna work. Like, it makes me think of the story. So I've been in Russell Brunson's group, and he does click funnels, and he's the master funnel person. Like he
Yeah.
probably knows more about funnels than anybody else. But then a time when I came to him, I'm like, hey, like, what do you think of this funnel? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like you're the funnel guy. He's like, yeah, but like I don't know. Like it could look good to me. He's like, I've launched many things that look good, but just bomb. He's like, you got to ask the market. The market is going
Yes.
to tell you if it's good or not good very quickly. So you're 100% correct, and
We
the market changes.
It does. And on the funnel, like we get clients who'll come in that again, they're not optimistic about a marketing spend. We get them to spend. We build their brand around their value proposition, redirecting their digital assets, their content, collateral, their people, get all that aligned. They're like, okay, where's the growth? Well, okay, now we're going to go to lead gen. Now we're going to go to market with your brand. We're going to test it. Well, I'm not getting the leads I need. Well, I always have to ask, what was your sales cycle before you hired us? What do you
Hmm.
mean? Well, how long did it take to get a lead to close the deal and what percentages you close. Marketing takes time to build, and it's about trial and error. My son works for us. He's head of data, all of our data. He went to school for fintech and data science. We're taking data that points us in a direction and says it should work. Now we have AI that says, yes, it has worked, right? And we have insights and we can go to market with it. But if the market's not ready for it, or the market is blinded by it because of all the noise, 50 lead generation in-mails in my LinkedIn, and it gets lost. What's beautiful about today is the tools and the enablement is there to find the needle in the haystack. How hard are you willing to work for it? And that's why we're fractional. I want to be in the room. I want them to hold me accountable when sales and ops says it's not working. Because the first thing I'm going to do is challenge them on how are we executing? How are we selling? Is it the content you're using to sell? Is it the approach you're using to sell? Or is it our positioning in the market? And let's test all three. And we're constantly doing that and evolving it. And we just had a recent, 2 days ago, I had a meeting with a client. He said, I thought our website had been hacked because of the data, the results he saw in impressions and growth and website and time on site. And I said, I laughed about it. I said, can I get that as a testimonial? And we had a laugh over it because we finally broke through.
Yeah.
We've had failed campaign after failed campaign, to then we got a bunch of opens, but we didn't get execution, to now we shifted to our means of communication to his
Yeah.
consumer base. And
Yeah.
they reacted and they gave us an A.
That's
And now
awesome.
we got to build, but now we got to hang on to it.
Hackers aren't going to increase your conversion number.
When he said that, I was, we do a weekly check-in with all of our clients, and my wife leads that as our customer experience leader. And that's what she's better at that. Like, I know my roles. She's sitting there and she's going through the call and he says that. I'm paying attention, but I'm not. I'm like, they got hacked for a second. I'm like, what? And then I realized he finished his statement. I'm like, oh yeah, that's us. We
Oh
finally
yeah.
broke through. Your impressions are up 300% month over month, and your engagement's growing. And by the way, your pipeline's growing.
Yeah.
We took that client on in May of this year. We're
Okay.
just now starting to see a little bit of the benefit of the work because it
Yeah.
takes time.
Yes, it does. Well, hey, just before we finish up, I have a couple of last questions for you. I would love to know, what is the best piece of business advice you have ever received?
Oh my gosh. I have a list of them, and it
I
depends
know, and
on
I
the
want the first one
situation. You
the
want the
first one that
first one.
comes to the
The
top of your
first one,
mind. It's
the
always the
first
best
one,
one.
yeah. Just because it's easy to articulate,
Mm-hmm.
i.e. in the boardroom, doesn't mean it's just as easy to execute or implement. And I heard that from a former CEO of Home Depot
Mm-hmm.
many years ago. You walk in their store, and it's their store. It doesn't look organized, but it is very organized. And they're always trying to roll out new initiatives. And we were part of a market basket growth initiative at Coca-Cola. And I'm in there, the young guy, trying to push, like, we're supposed to be executing this. And he looked at me and goes, you're a smart guy. We've had great conversations. But just because it's decided up here doesn't mean it can be executed down here.
Right.
And that's what we cut. And we have to remove the friction from it. What's the friction that's preventing execution? And let's work on that, and we'll be successful together. And we were very successful together.
That's awesome. And my second to last question is, if you had a chance today to go back and talk to your 15-year-old self, what would you tell him first thing?
um, my 15-year-old self is trust and trust the process and learn from others. I became an executive of Coca-Cola very young. And then I was top performer and leading a division of our business. And I got cut because my attitude, my approach to people. I grew up a street kid, a hustler, and I didn't take criticism very well. I was pushing. I expected everything out of everybody. And I didn't respect why other people were there. They weren't as driven as me. They didn't want what I wanted. So it was a different means of working for people as a servant leader. So I guess I'd go back and say, be servant, walk a mile in the other person's shoes before you ask them to walk in yours. Dale Carnegie, right? I
Mm-hmm.
learned that through my journey. And ever since I've put people's priorities over mine,
Hmm.
We've been able to come together and be able to find that compromise, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a business relationship, but we're always about compromise. What can we do to compromise to get the best out of you while making sure your priorities are met? It might be getting home at 5 o'clock because you got 3 young kids and you want to be at their activities every night,
Hmm.
right? It might be faith based. It might be philosophical based. And having that understanding and allowing people to be their authentic self brings out the best. That to me is diversity and inclusion,
Yeah.
right? Be
Yeah.
inclusive of everyone's thoughts, everyone's beliefs, everyone's needs, and your purpose will be served. And that's why Accent Food Service went from just over 30 million to 165 million and was an incredible brand experience and the best ride of my life. And if my 15-year-old self had known that, I'd probably be a lot further along than where I am today. I'd be further up that mountain I'm trying to climb.
Right. Well, last thing is please share with everybody how they can get in touch with you if they want to know more about Forward Thinkers. What's the best way to contact you?
No, I appreciate that. You can go through our website if you want to learn more, www.forwardthinkers.io. I am very active and post and engage daily on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn is an easy way to engage, or feel free to email me, josh@forwardthinkers.io. Love to expand the network, love to serve our audience and help others grow.
Yeah. Well, we will have all those contact details down in the notes below. So, Josh, thanks for being on today.
And you too, brother.